Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions.
That cover's so awesome.
This is Mr. Chris Claremont, a legend.
Melanie goes,
Charest.
how's it going, all you Minties? Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And we have the second Mark Millar Library Edition. So today we're going to do an advanced look at the Ambassador's Library Edition hardcover from Dark Horse Comics. So let's go ahead and get started. Before getting started, a big thank you to the folks at Dark Horse for sending us an advanced copy of this library edition. This library edition is due out in the direct market and book market on December 24th or 25th, if your store is open. But yes, this is the second Mark Millar library edition, and it is the Ambassadors. And there's the cover there by Frank Quitely. This is Dr. Chu Hee Chung, who is the main character of the story. The first library edition was Wanted and Big Game, and there is an actual reading order to the whole Millar world stories that are being collected now. So here, let's look at them together there. The spines, Millar, Quitely, and Charest, and then the Dark Horse logo here. And I'm surprised that horse didn't come up here. Then the backs of the books right here. This one here has the Netflix logo, but that one doesn't. That's interesting. That one's $49.99. This one's $59.99 because it does contain two series. Both of them have dust jackets. And the coolest thing, I don't know if you saw my overview of this one, I love the gilded pages here, like the gilded edges. That's awesome. This is black, like a slick black right there. And this one has a, don't know if you can tell. There we go. It's like a blue foil gilded edge. That's awesome. I like that. And of course, your ribbon, which we'll look at here in a little bit. They both come with a dust jacket with the exact same thing, image and spine, and even the back on the art on board. So we are going to crack this book open. I'm going to talk about the stories found in here without going too much into spoilers, and then showcasing the different art styles that just are in every book, because each issue is drawn by a different artist, which I thought that was an interesting thing, but it makes sense when I give you the pitch of the story, why it could work. All right, so let's go ahead and crack the library edition open. Frank Quitely, Travis Charest, Olivier Coipel, Matteo Buffagni, Matteo Scalera, and Carl Herschel are the artists here on the book. You have your end sheets here, which is the same end sheets they use in the back, featuring the main cast of characters and the Ambassadors Library Edition. So here you go. The script is by Mark Millar, letters by Clem Robbins, and then there's the breakdown of each issue. Each issue, the art and colors are by Frank Quitely, and then the color assistance is by Vincent M.G. Deegan, and then the colors for each of the different issues. So you have someone like Michelle Asada-Korn and Dave Stewart and Giovanna Nero and Michelle Asada-Korn and Lee Luthridge. And the cover, again, by Frank Quitely, created by Mark Millar at Netflix. That's interesting. And this is the first issue right here. So you do have the cover, and it is cover A by Frank Quitely. So they do give you the credit of the artist. So collecting the Ambassadors issues 1 through 6, and this book has 216 pages and retails for $49.99. It is mature content, so keep that in mind. It's got that humor and violence that Mark Millar likes to put in his book, so it's mainly that. All right, so we start off in 1986 in Mexico, where this young Scottish boy, this is Jamie, has escaped from this experiment, and he looks like he's got telekinetic powers. And this experiment, what it ended up doing was, I guess it devolved him to make him look like a primate. And now we go to present day, where they start talking about this project. This project that was it the Basso Project, where they experimented on superheroes. And we have this whole thing right here about how for the longest time there's been a race to create superheroes, and how in the 50s and 60s they tried to create superheroes through Hollywood's means, because America wanted to be the first. And then later on during the Bonzo Initiative, named after one of Ronald Reagan's, it wasn't him, but it was his co-star's character. But anyway, the Bonzo program actually was able to do it. However, it started failing, and a lot of the subjects, including Jamie, had to be destroyed. Now, then the military starts talking. And they start talking about how someone has actually managed to create a world of, or a superhero gene. And the gene is something that has been cracked. And the military, of course, was like, well, okay, that's amazing. Why don't you bring him in and, he'll do his American duty and give us the formula to create superheroes. And the colonel's like, yeah, well, it's a she, first of all, and she's not American. She is actually a scientist from South Korea. And that's where we meet the character of Dr. Chun-Hee Chung. And this is her just floating across this room right here full of people. And what she's telling them is that she was able to create the superhero gene, and she is able to give people superhero powers, and she wants to do it for free. Now, both her and her husband had been working on this project for a long time, and her husband got selfish and greedy and betrayed her and stole the formula and sent her to prison for 80, framed her for a crime for 80 years. So that's where she is actually telecasting from. She's in prison, but this is her body. And it's pretty neat, right? She has decided to make this Dr. Chung 2.0. That her body in prison, she can't get out, but she was able to create this astral projection, or actually create a new body to go out there, and has downloaded her emotions and her thoughts and everything into this new body. So what she does is she ends up killing herself, the old body, because it's completely useless to her, and downloaded everything into the new body. So that's what we're dealing with. This is the kind of character she is. And she wants to give superhero formulas, not to the government, not to the military, not to one specific country, but to everyone. She believes that everyone has a chance to become a superhero. And she wants to start with 6 people. And they all have to come from different parts of the world. So that's what makes this interesting. It kind of reminds me a little bit. I don't know if you all read the Hardcover series from Valiant Comics in the 90s, but it kind of reminds me a little bit of that. So at the end of the first issue, now I promise I'm not going to spoil much more. I just wanted to give you the pitch of the story, that she's offering superhero powers to people, to everyday people, but they have to apply for it. We meet this guy right here. He's at a bar in South Africa. He's drinking, and these soldiers come in to try to get him. And it turns out that this is Jamie, the Scottish kid from the beginning that apparently had lived and looks like he's human again, but looks like he's still using telekinetic powers. All right, so in issue 2, we are in Delhi, India, where we meet one of our new characters right here. So that's what's going to happen. You're going to meet new characters in each issue. So this is, I believe this is Beta or Binu. Binu? Yeah, Binu. That's his name. And Binu is this kid that's working at a phone shop in the mall. The mall gets invaded by a bunch of terrorists, and they end up taking this girl named Geeta. The terrorists do. And he has a crush on her. He doesn't know how to tell her his feelings. So he's like, wait. I will go instead of her. Please don't harm her. She's a good girl. She comes from a good family. And the terrorists are like, really? That you want to trade places with her? Unfortunately, he gets caught in the crossfire when a group of military soldiers come in and stop the terrorists. The terrorists start shooting back, and he gets shot. And what happens is he ends up going into a coma. Now, something you'll notice is that the art looks a lot different here than it does here, because this is now Carl Kerschel drawing this. So that's the story. He's in a coma for about 7 years, and then we see the control base here in Antarctica for the ambassador program, is what Dr. Chung's calling it. This is actually not just an assistant, but really her right hand. This is Oksana. And both of them are trying to recruit people. And Oksana tells her that we've had I think it's like 2 million applications come in the last 4 days. So the first person that she chooses is this guy right here, Banu, because she believes that Banu did something unselfish. He put himself at harm while protecting someone else. So she wants to give him the first taste of power, or make him the first choice for this ambassador program representing India. So the way that it works, I have to explain this, is that she gives them bracelets and they have powers to choose from. However, they can't choose the same power as somebody else because somebody else could be using it. So they can choose telekinesis, they can choose super strength and vulnerability, or flight, or I mentioned that already, or like super speed. So that's what she does. She gives these people these powers, and they're able to tap into this sphere where they can get these powers as long as no one else is using it. Now, this is Travis Charest, and his art looks a lot. I promise I'm not going to talk about each issue. I just wanted to showcase a style of art that is different. And his style looks so different here. I haven't seen his art since probably one of the European books that he did. Maybe it was like Meta Barons, Weapons of the Meta Barons. Now, he became like one of my favorite artists. He comes from the world of Wildstorm, or a graduate of Wildstorm, really, but he had been drawing comics long before that. I remember seeing him on covers in DC, and he had this Jim Lee style. This is all taking place in France, where it's actually two people that are chosen from France, and this is what his style looks like now. The next issue is Olivier Coipel, from a lady from Brazil right here, and they all come from different walks of life. And one thing that Dr. Chung notices is that it's really difficult to choose someone, because there's a lot of people that claim they're good, but it's hard to find someone that is genuinely good and wants to be a team player. This character is really interesting because he has a little bit of a twist with his story. This is like a guy that has... He had as he calls it, a right-wing mentality. He comes from Australia, but wants to atone for his sins of the past, because he reveals that he's gay, and he's like, I want to change the way that I am if you give me this chance to become and represent Australia. And she's like, yeah, okay, sure, that sounds good. You want to atone for your sins of the past, and let's do it. So that's how he gets chosen. Now, I mentioned her ex-husband. Well, the whole time, her ex-husband has been building his own team, because apparently he was able to take her formula and copy it and give it to his own people, making his own maybe supervillain team. Yeah, they're not the friendliest of people. And it all comes down to this last issue right here by Matteo Scalera. By now we have costumes for each of these characters, and they have their own... their names are like India and Brazil and Australia or France, and that's what they go by. But again, they have their own unique costumes, and all of them looking like the actual countries they come from. Now, there is enough of a story, like there is enough of a cliffhanger that you can see maybe a follow-up series coming out. And here are the different variant covers all the way in the back. Now, this did come out in a trade paperback, but this one has about 40 more pages of extras than the trade paperback did. So mainly like a lot of the variant covers, the line art right here for different issues, some of them with ink, some of them with pencils, some of them with just layouts. And then the bio on all these creators. Some of them have worked with Mark Millar in the past, and others haven't. This I found really interesting. The Mark Millar collection. Most of the time when a publisher does this, they just put out the books that the creators have put out from their own publishing company. But here we do have Marvel Comics and DC Comics. So we have Superman Red Son, we have The Ultimates, we've got things like Civil War. So it's like a mix of Marvel, a little bit of DC. I don't see the other DC Flash book, like for example, that he wrote, but most of it stuff that he himself did. Of course, starting over at Marvel and then moving over to Image, and now the home is here at Dark Horse. Let's look at the binding really quick. 216 pages, and again, retailing for $49.99, and there is that ribbon. That, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing this library edition, don't forget to check out our sponsors.
If you're in Europe and you're interested in buying these books, definitely check out Walt's Comic Shop in Berlin, Germany. They have the cheapest pre-order prices, flat shipping rate of €12 for all EU countries, emails answered within 24 hours, waltscomicshop.com, And you can use the code nearmintcondition at checkout and get free shipping for all EU countries with your first order over 40 euros. That's Walt's Comic Shop, your reliable source for omnis and premium collected editions in Europe. Ding!
CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more.
And that was the content, the page count, and build of this book. Let me know in the comments down below if you are picking this up, if you already have the trade paperbacks, if you've never read any of Mark Millar's independent work, and this is the way you're going to collect it. I would love to know all those comments down below. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications. Check us out on Spreadshop and Patreon. Amazing ways to support the channel. Everyone, stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.